Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today's recipe is very delicious. It's potato gratin. I like to make this homemade. You can buy the box at the store, not necessarily the same. I do like to use fresh cheese in a block, and I like to shred it myself because when you buy shredded cheese in the supermarket, they coat it so it doesn't melt as good as if you were to just grate it up from a block of cheese. And then there's some heavy cream in it, there's some milk, and then we're gonna slice our potatoes extremely thin. Just use a knife, and I'll show you how to put it all together. So thank you for joining me to watch me make this recipe, and let's go into the kitchen and let's get started. So I have a little guest who just jumped up. This is my little Bella. She's 7 months old. So let's go on into the kitchen and we'll get started. Hi, Bella. So now to start this recipe, I took 5 large potatoes and I sliced them very thin. You could do it by knife or the mandolin, very thin. And they're just soaking in water right now. Okay, I went ahead and I grated up a block of cheese. Now for this recipe, I don't like to use the pre-made shredded cheese. They coat it with some things and it doesn't melt as good as it should. So I like to grate it myself. So I have about 4 cups here. Now we're going to move on to the stove. That's pretty much all the prep work you need to do is your potatoes and your cheese. So now we'll move to the stove and we'll get this started. Okay, so this is pretty much easy to make. It's not very difficult to make a potato gratin. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our cheese sauce first. So I'm going to take about 4 tablespoons of butter. Okay. I'm going to let that melt. Then we're going to add 4 teaspoons of flour. What we're making is a roux. This will help the sauce thicken up. So we'll get that melted in the pot. Okay, so the butter's almost melted. Alright, so we're going to throw in our flour, 4 teaspoons. Now we're going to let this cook in the butter for a few minutes just to get that flour taste out. Okay, so now I have 4 cups. 2 cups cream, 2 cups milk, just add a little bit in. Let's give it a stir. I have the flame on high. Okay, so let's add all 4 cups. And we're going to bring this up to a slow simmer. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add half a teaspoon of salt. little bit of black pepper, So instead of fresh garlic, I'll be using garlic powder, about 2 teaspoons. Okay, and then about a teaspoon of thyme. Okay, let's let that warm up, and then we'll add the cheese. Okay, so now it's at a boil. I lowered it, and now we're going to add our cheese. Now, again, this will melt very quickly because I shredded it from the block. With the store-bought shred, it doesn't really melt as good. You can see it's already melted. Okay, so I'm going to shut it now. All the cheese is melted. It's nice and creamy. Okay, so now I'm going to put the potatoes in. Now I drain the water very well with the potatoes. I'm just going to put them right in to the sauce. So let's be gentle and just give it a nice mix. Get the cheese sauce incorporated. Separate the potatoes. Okay, once all the potatoes are nicely covered, we're going to get a baking dish and we're going to put some butter in it. Okay, so now I have my baking dish. Spread some butter. Now we're going to be very careful. We're just going to pour everything into the dish. Just be very careful because the cheese sauce is extremely hot. You just want to spread out your potatoes. Make sure they're evenly distributed. So we're going to cover this with aluminum foil. And we're going to bake it in the oven for an hour. Then we'll take the aluminum foil off. And we'll add some cheese and we'll let it brown. Okay, so the oven is at 375. We'll put it in for 1 hour. Okay, so it's time to take the potato gratin out, and we're going to remove the tin foil. Be very careful. Okay. Now we're going to put it back in. And we're going to let it cook. So far it's been a half hour. This has to go for an hour. Okay, so now the potato gratin has been in for 1 hour. So we're going to pull it out. Very careful. So now, of course, you want to just make sure that the potatoes are nice and tender, that the knife goes right through, and it does. So now we can add the cheese. Now you can add any type of cheese you like. And just add a little bit on top. About a cup, whatever you like. Okay, so we're going to put this in for 10 minutes just to brown on top, and then it'll be done. Oops. Okay. Okay, so the 10 minutes are up. Let's take it out. Again, be very careful. Very hot. And there we have it. Potato gratin. And now we're going to let it rest for, say, 15 minutes. It'll thicken up as it cools down. Smells wonderful. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you give this recipe a try. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.